In this video, we're going to talk about data types. First of all, let's answer a basic question. Why do we need different data types? Because the world is made of a great diversity of objects. For example, when you think of dogs, you might think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dogs. You wouldn't think of negative 10 dogs. That doesn't make sense. Nor would you likely think of 500 million dogs, correct? So, data types, because the world is made of different kinds of objects and so on. Let's take a look at this in code. So crank up a project template as I have it here. And let's get coding. We are going to say useShort. This is a data type, and then you're going to say dog count. So that statement right there, this is a variable declaration. Okay, useShort, dog count. The useShort is the data type. Dog count is the name of the variable, and we are using what is known as camel casing because that C is capitalized and it looks like humps of a camel. You see? There's also Pascal casing, which capitalizes all the first letters of words in a variable name, but camel casing capitalizes all of them after the first one. The first one here is usually the lowercase. Camel casing is used heavily throughout Microsoft. Okay. Now, at the next stage, what we are going to do is type dog count and then set that equal to 5. So to comment this so it's meaningful, this is declare a variable, okay, like this. So assign its data type and give it a name. And now here dog count means to assign a variable like this. This is one way of doing it. Notice at this stage this is underlined green, but it will not be soon once we make use of it. For now it is because we have not yet used it. That's not a big issue. Next, another data type is the double data type, and use this one when you have fractional values like measured quantities. Okay, so use this one. So you'll have double and then length of wood, for example. So when you cut a piece of wood, you're unlikely, even if you measure very carefully, if you measured it extremely carefully, you're unlikely to hit exactly 36.75 because it depends where you measure, okay, and then some other things. So the point is when you have measured quantities and they have stored fractional values, okay, and you're not absolutely certain about every single digit that you have, use the double data type, okay? There you go. So use doubles, right, to represent fractional values like this, okay? Next, when you have money on the other hand, you want to keep a very accurate record in financial transactions. In that case, use the following. Use the decimal data type, specifically designed for money. It's really great for that. So decimal money, because it has a lot of accuracy in the way it stores the data. And it's very important when you're dealing with money, correct? When you're cutting a piece of wood, it's not. Who cares whether it's off by, 1/90th of an inch, okay? But in money, on the other hand, if you get a lot of round-off errors over a long period of time with a lot of people, it could become significant. All right, so decimal money here, and then put in some huge number, dot, and then something like 6, 7, and then M at the end. So the M is necessary to declare that this is a decimal data type, like this. All right. Next, we're going to make use of them. So to make use of them simply means to, in our case, just display them for now, and then also to review another really important principle. In Visual Studio, we can use many shortcuts as tips on efficiency. So now type CW, and notice this says code snippet for console write line. Hit tab 2 times and it imports it for you. See? So less to memorize and less to type. Mary has, now put in a placeholder that will be filled at runtime. Dogs period, close that with a double quote, and then dog, and then count, like that. Next, CW, tab, and now you will say here that plank is, and then you'll say here that, and then inches long, and then again, comma, and notice after that the variable will become available to us. Okay, so we can now say, for example, length of wood, and IntelliSense already is aware of it and becomes available in IntelliSense. So Visual Studio is very helpful again. They really have done a great job designing this program. And next, console, again, do CW and then tab. There you go. And now you'll say John has a fortune of, and now you'll format this as currency, so placeholder 0, C to apply the currency formatting, close it, and then period, double quote, comma, and then the name of the variable, so money. Again, available in IntelliSense for us. And that's it. Okay, so this will display the values for us. And let me delete this reference code that I've been storing on the bottom. So to view all of the available snippets, and that's really helpful, do this. Click here, right click, and then go to Insert Snippet, which you can do with Control K also. And then choose Visual C#. And here are the available snippets. You see this? And they are really helpful. They mean less to memorize, okay? And you can type much more efficiently and quickly, so they're wonderful. Okay, next, we want to run this code in as insightful a way as possible. So what I want you to do is go to Debug, and then Step Into. So remember, we have to build, in other words, generate that executable file. Now make sure you have these windows down below, the call stack and the locals window, because new details are coming, and they are these. When you execute code like this, these variables, as you can see, dog count, length of wood, and money, okay, have some default values. For dog count, because that's a uShort, that default value is 0. For length of wood, the default value for double is 0.0. For money, you might think it's 0, but it's not. It's 0M. Okay, keep that in mind. There's an M that is not shown normally in that window, but it's present nonetheless. Alright, now, further, if you hover your mouse over uShort, see that? It displays additional information, and then it tells you the base. And the base is object. At the root of the entire hierarchy in C# and languages like Java, for example, there's a class called object. Everything is an object of some kind, okay? Alright, and then you can also observe the the max and min values. See that? There you go. Okay, the same thing with the double. If you hover your mouse over it, it tells you the base class is object again, so that's a unifying common source with uShort. And then it also tells you the max value, the min value, and some other data bits. Same thing would naturally will apply to the decimal. Even if you look at console, you see this, and you expand that, it tells you all of this available information. So background color, black, we can change that if we want quite easily to blue and other colors. And the base, of course, is object. You see that? So what we have just discovered is that this uShort and the double and the decimal and the console and the data types that we will make eventually ourselves, they all have at the root a common origin, which is the object class. All right, there's a unifying class at the root of everything. All right, so that is that. Next, and also if you hover your mouse over the variable names, you see it tells you what their values are, like that. Okay, there you go. Now a variable in a general sense is basically a placeholder, correct? And then you can fill it with different values. Okay, so in mathematics, when we talk about a variable, we say a variable is a quantity that can essentially, well, it's something that we use to represent a changing quantity or a quantity that is unknown. Okay? Alright, so let's continue here, step into it. There you go. Now, notice that dog count is declared and initialized on two separate lines. However, you can also declare and initialize in a single line, as I have done with length of wood. Same thing with money. Right, there you go, there you go. Okay, so now let me bring up the console window over here. And there's our output. You see, so Mary has 5 dogs, they're playing 2 inches long, and then John has a fortune of, well, a huge amount of money, correct? So, exit off the screen, and that's it. That's what I want you to learn in this lesson. So, please be sure to type the code, analyze it with the step into feature. Please remember that by taking that step, you're slowing yourself down, but in a way that's very productive. And along the way, you discover a great number of small facts that are quite interesting and important to know in order to build your understanding so that it becomes very thorough and deep and comprehensive and complete.